Hey, how's it going? Today is a special day because you and I are going to be doing a product review for the new Ninja Slushi MAX. Is this thing really a good upgrade to the original Ninja Slushi, or is it a huge, disgusting, gigantic waste of money? Well, that's what we're here to find out. So you ready? Let's get into this. Just a quick note, my reviews are based upon the things that I think are important. That might be a little bit different for you, so what I recommend doing is after watching my video, you watch a couple of other videos made by different content creators. That way you get a wider range of likes and dislikes and testing criteria. That in turn should help you make a more informed buying decision, and that is the most important thing of all. This is the Ninja Slushi MAX slushie machine. This machine is huge. In fact, you can't really tell on camera very well how big it actually is, but it is about 8 inches wide. Back to front, if you take the dispenser into consideration, you're talking about 20 inches. And as far as the height of the machine goes, we're looking at right about 17 inches. So this thing fits under your upper cabinets, but just barely. If you want to get a really good size comparison of this, I'm just going to turn this sideways, and I'm going to set the original Ninja Slushi right next to it. You can see how much more this thing sticks out forward, but if we look at the width, you can also see how much wider this machine is as well. That's pretty big because the original Ninja Slushi is by no means a small machine. The Ninja Slushi MAX actually comes in several different colors that you can order. This particular one is the peach colored one. I actually wanted blue, but the peach one has more blue on it than the blue one does, so that's what we got here. Looking at the outside of the machine, it is a little prettier than the original Ninja Slushi, and honestly I think it's a better looking machine than all of the other slushie machines that I've seen. I really like the look of these plastic panels on the side here as well. This thing is 120 volt and it pushes out a maximum of 490 watts. So definitely a lot more powerful than the original machine, but the evaporator in this has to handle a whole lot more capacity, so it really does need to be more powerful so it can go colder. Right here is our drip tray that just kind of slips onto the side. This is really similar to the original design, except it is square instead of round, but I don't really think I like the design much better at all, and that's because the inner piece can pop out of here really easily and just kind of fall off. This holds on a little bit better than the one from my original slushie, but it does fall out of there pretty easy. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but if you have this in here like this and you pick it up and carry it around, that falling off of there, that's a thing, it happens. That can be a problem if you're carting it around and that falls off. You could end up stepping on it because this thing is almost 40 pounds, so pretty easy to be distracted if this falls off and you don't notice it. Okay, if we turn this back forward again, this is the drip tray. It just slides in right here in the bottom. It kind of pops in. It does click in there, so I like that. It's not just slid in and sitting there. On the front of the machine, we have our dispenser handle right here, and we have a plastic guide that will guide the stuff coming out down towards your cup. This pops off just like that for cleaning. And then now you can see the inner workings of this handle. The handle design is the exact same handle design as we had with the original slushie, and I hated that, and I still hate this. The reason for that is I've used a bunch of other slushie machines and they all have these handles being set up to be removable. They tend to be more clunky and this just feels more professional, but when it comes to cleaning the thing, we got other issues. That being that this handle is not removable from your vessel right here. That and the fact that the guides here that hold the handle in are just molded into the plastic and they're just held in with these little metal pins. This is an awful lot of pressure to be putting on that plastic over and over and over again over time. So at some point, we're gonna get weak around these areas here, and this is gonna break off someday. What? How long that is, I have no idea, but that design really does bother me, and when you're cleaning it, since you can't remove it, it does kind of get in the way. Also, with the design, if I open this up all the way, well, which you can't really see, the hole for your drink to come out is obviously right here. Well, that actually has a little bit of a plastic grate over it, so it breaks up the contents when it's being poured out of here. That's fine and dandy, but if you're doing something really thick, it gets stuck coming out of this and ends up coming out really slow. Again, that's another design decision taken from the original Ninja Slushi. I didn't like it then, and I really don't like it now. but at least this guide piece is larger than the original. Looking at the top of the machine, there's a change at how you pour your ingredients into the vessel. We got this long angled tray for you to pour stuff in. The lid has a silicone seal around it, and it also has a little door you can flip up here just to pour stuff in from over here. That helps avoid a lot of splashing and stuff like that. If this is in the way for you, which it might be because that's not a whole lot of space, you can just pop this whole thing off and deal with it that way. Also, this is all formed into the plastic in one single piece with no seams. It's an improvement over the original design because with that you were able to get slushy mix and stuff into crevices that were all around in here, and that would end up drying and you wouldn't be able to wash it back out because the space was too small. After that you'd end up with dirty looking stains on the inside that you were never able to get to, so that's a big improvement. In order to release your vessel, you just have this lever right back here. You pull that up. You see it pushes this whole thing forward, and then we can slide this whole thing off. And just to show you this vessel again, this can hold a maximum of 150 ounces, but when you're putting your contents in there, they don't recommend going past 112 ounces because the rest of the space is for expansion. And if you want to really see how big this is, I mean, I can fit all the way almost up to my elbow in here if I want to. It's a lot of space, and I do like the design of this thing, other than this monstrosity up on the front here. Okay, the next piece we have here is the auger. This just keeps your stuff mixing. It's pretty darn big. It's a lot bigger than the original one because obviously it's a bigger machine. It does a nice job. It's made out of some pretty sturdy ABS plastic, but on mine, it came cracked like that. Check that out. The good thing is I did contact Ninja about this, waited on the phone for about 15 minutes, and somebody came on and took care of it right away for me. So they are shipping me a new one. No big deal, it was just a little bit unfortunate that that came broken, and I actually think I jinxed myself during the unboxing video. I tell you, they were serious about this thing not moving around during shipping. So if I find anything broken, that's gonna be extra disappointing. Right here is the evaporator, and this is where the magic happens. When this is turned on, this thing gets really cold. The auger is rotating stuff over the top of this. The cold makes it freeze, this thing mixes it, and then you have slushies slash milkshakes slash ice cream slash whatever. The only other part we have on this is the catch tray right here. In all my experience with the testing on this, really not a whole lot got in here, and that's a good thing. But if it does, this thing holds quite a bit. So I guess that's good. And putting this thing back together really doesn't take any time at all, as you can see. There. Okay, now for our controls on the front. Got our power button right here. You can see all different programs are lit up for me to select now. If I pick any one of those, the machine will start up right away. Right here you have a dial that determines the freeze level that you're going to be at. You got all these different hash marks for all these different freeze levels. You got a little screen here, and that's for use exclusively with the Slush Assist button, which we'll talk about in a minute. And you have a rinse button right here. This button's for cleaning the machine, and what it does is it'll run the auger around, but it'll leave the compressor turned off so you're not freezing up the liquid going in. That way you can put in some warm soapy water combination, run it through the machine for a little while, and you can do a pretty good job cleaning it up. I still recommend taking your machine apart to clean it whenever you're done with it, but that'll at least get most of the sticky stuff out of there so it doesn't make cleaning harder later. There are different programs on this machine, but really what the programs are more like presets. Basically, each one of these different presets will run the machine at a different predetermined freeze level. You can still use the dial to customize that. For instance, if I hit slush right here, it's running the machine in slush mode. You can see the blinking light down here at the current freeze level, and the line up here where the freeze level is set to stop. I can take this dial, turn it anywhere I want, and increase or lower this depending on what I'm trying to make a slushie out of. Also, you should be able to hear the machine in the background, and you can probably tell that it's not very loud. In fact, About 59 decibels or so is about all the noise this thing makes. Keep in mind that if you have ingredients in here, it's typically going to be a little bit more quiet as well. The other settings on this machine are spiked slushie, spiked max, milkshake, and frozen juice. The difference between spiked and spiked max is the fact that spiked max will allow you to have higher alcohol content than normal. And that just means that since there's higher alcohol content, we know that alcohol doesn't freeze, it will run it colder than the regular spiked setting. The only other setting we have on this machine is the slush assist, and this is something that's new for the Max. The way you use a slush assist is if you don't know exactly what setting you want to use, you can just push this button, it will sense what you have in the machine up there, and it'll make its own determination as to temperature and freeze level. In fact, if I push that button now, you can see the blue lights going around in here. That is auto sensing the ingredients, which obviously there's none in there right now, and it'll even tell you what it's doing right here. See? Slush assist sensing. It takes a few minutes to do that, but once it figures it out, it will set your freeze level for you, which you can make adjustments to if you'd like. But other than that, it's pretty much just a set and forget type of thing. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. All that information is well and good, but at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is how well this machine actually works. Well, you're in luck because we did 6 different tests. The first test was the old standby that I use on every one of these slushie tests, and that would be Jolly Rancher sugar-free watermelon slush mix. Sometimes I use the green apple also, but essentially it's the same thing. The watermelon slushie is 1 part slushie mix and 5 parts water, so I threw that into the machine and it turned out to be just about 40 ounces of liquid. Then I set the Slushie Max to the slushie setting, and then based on what I saw in the unboxing video for this, I just increased the freeze level by 1 just to get it a tad bit thicker because it was a little bit on the runny side when I did it before. The machine took just under 18 minutes to convert my liquid into nice watermelon slush. 18 minutes is pretty quick considering how much liquid there is in there, and you also have to take into consideration that the slush mix is sitting at room temperature. If you use cold ingredients, the stuff ends up going by a little bit quicker. Anyway, the slush pours out of the machine really nice. It's not really separating much at all, except maybe a tiny bit at the very bottom of the glass. And again, if I increase the freeze level 1 more, I'd be able to eliminate that as well. But I didn't feel I needed to because slushies are supposed to be a little bit on the loose side, especially this type of stuff. The flavor obviously was really good, but that's going to be determined by what I'm putting in there and not really what the machine's doing. But the texture on it, which the machine is responsible for, came out really, really great. For the next test, I made mocha frappuccinos. This should be a really popular thing to make in a machine like this, especially considering if you go to Starbucks, it's going to cost you like $8. If you got 4 people, you're talking about spending about $40 including tip, which is a lot of money for coffee. With a machine like this, you can make it at home and it'll be a lot cheaper. So in the mocha frap, I poured in some cold brew coffee, supplemented that with half and half, put in a little bit of vanilla extract and some chocolate syrup, and obviously some sugar. Then I ran the machine on milkshake mode and left it at the default setting. Surprisingly, after only 14 minutes, I had finished fraps. You can see when it comes out of the machine, it's a tiny bit on the thick side still, so I probably could have gone a little bit less on the freeze level. It did struggle a little bit to come out of the machine, not really bad at all though. And once I got it into the glass and stirred it around for a second, it was really easy to suck through the straw. So that's not really an issue at all. It actually does come out really nice and fluffy. I do like the texture quite a bit. In fact, I like it better than what you get out of the coffee houses because those a lot of times sort of taste like they're watered down a little bit. You can see the texture holds together really well. It actually does look more like a milkshake than a frap. And the best part is when you suck some stuff through the straw, you're not sucking out all the liquid and leaving ice behind or anything like that. It's just really, really good. In fact, if you're a coffee drinker, this just might be a go-to type of thing for you. For my third test, I made mimosas, and for that, really all we're talking about is a little bit of orange juice and some Prosecco. In fact, I went a little bit off the rails on this because I used the entire bottle of Prosecco, and to match that up I had to use pretty much equal parts of orange juice. So this was pretty big, and again the ingredients were already cold. I set the machine on the spiked max setting since there's so much alcohol in this, and the entire process took about 15 minutes to complete. Once that got done, again you can see that gate on the dispenser is causing it to come out a little bit slower than I like, but it did come out with not too much effort, and the quality of the mimosa is really good. This looks a lot like the Slushie, but it's much firmer than that is too. You can tell because you can see the frozen mimosa kind of piling up a little bit in spots. That's good because that's exactly the way I wanted it to be. Next I moved on to the frozen juice. So obviously we used the frozen juice setting, mixed together equal parts of cranberry juice and orange juice, and let it go. This one only took about 9 minutes to finish up, and I'm kind of attributing that to the fact that both of the ingredients were very cold already, and the fact that they both have pretty high sugar content since they are juices. But in any case, that is a ridiculous amount of time to get this done in. Definitely with this one, you can really see the extra power that this machine has. For my next test, we did a Coke Zero Slushie. People online, and to a certain extent Ninja themselves, will tell you that you have to use sugar in order to get things to slush, and that would mean that making a Coke Zero Slushie would be impossible. That's true, unless of course you know how to get around that. The problem with zero sugar sodas is there's nothing to keep the liquid from completely freezing. So if you put it in the machine like this, it'll tend just to freeze up on the evaporator, and then the machine will either break or it'll get stuck. So you need to have something that'll keep it from freezing hard like that. Ninja recommends using a little bit of allulose, but if you use allulose, you're going to sweeten your mix an awful lot because it's already sweet to begin with. What I use is a little bit of food grade liquid vegetable glycerin. That's not as sweet as the allulose, and it's already liquid, so you can mix it into your Coke a lot quicker. For this one, I decided just to use the slush assist button, and whenever it figured out what it was doing, I left the freeze level at whatever freeze level it wanted to be at. The process to make my Coke Zero Slushie took 14 minutes. That seems like it might be a little bit of a long time, but you have to factor in that slush assist takes a few minutes to work because it has to sense what types of ingredients you have in the machine first. In any case, 14 minutes is pretty darn good, and the resulting Coke Zero Slushie was pretty fantastic. You can see it's coming out of the machine all clumpy and slow. That's kind of par for the course with the way the dispenser is on this machine, but once I got it into the glass and mix it up a little bit, you can see that the texture on it is really good. If I have to compare it to anything, I would compare it to a 7-Eleven Slurpee. Very close to that. It clumps about the same way as those do, and the best part is when you suck it down through the straw, you're not leaving a whole bunch of ice left over with no flavor left in it, because that's kind of what happens a lot of times when you try to make things like this with a blender. The last test I did was also, to me, the most important test, and that would be trying to make vanilla ice cream in the Ninja Slushi MAX. That is not a documented feature for this machine, so maybe not the fairest thing to do in a product review for it, but the fact of the matter is that there's several slushie machines that are on the market now for less money that advertise soft serve ice cream right on the box. So I tried to mix this ice cream in a fashion that would be easiest for this machine to freeze up, and that would be equal parts whole milk and heavy cream, a little bit of vanilla extract, and some sugar. At its root, that's really all there is to ice cream. For the settings, I didn't use Slush Assist on this. I used the milkshake setting, and I cranked the freeze level up all the way to the maximum. The machine took 30 minutes to make my soft serve ice cream, and it actually only brought the freeze level up halfway. I tried to force it up a couple of times, but it would not freeze the contents past that level. So the texture we were going to get out of the machine is pretty much what we're going to get. Since the Slushie MAX isn't advertised to make ice cream, you're also not going to get a cool little plastic star-shaped fitting that goes over the dispenser. Really, the only point of that is to reshape the dispensed stuff into what looks like soft serve ice cream from the store. So it's not really that big a deal, but as I pour this ice cream out into the cup, you can see that it is really, really soft. And it'll still be slightly softer than something like a Wendy's Frosty also. It's got enough texture to hold its shape, but just barely. You can see it definitely is spoonable, and it's mixed well and tastes really good, but definitely not up to soft serve standards. In fact, you'd probably just call it a really firm milkshake. You could, however, dispense the contents into some Tupperware, throw that into the freezer for a couple of hours, and then once that comes out, you'd actually have some pretty decent scoopable ice cream. But still, I was honestly hoping for more out of the machine by default. The Ninja Slushi MAX is gigantic. That comes in really handy if you're in the habit of entertaining large groups of people at your house. But once you take that out of the equation, you start seeing a whole lot of dents in the armor. Yes, it is more powerful, so freeze times are a heck of a lot lower than they were with the original machine, but it's also a lot more expensive than the original Slushie as well. The Slush Assist is really nice if you need the extra help, but for the most part, it does all the exact same stuff that the original Slushie did. There are a few things I really didn't like about the original Ninja Slushie, and when the Max came out, I had high hopes that they were going to address all of those issues. However, once I got it, it really ended up being kind of a disappointment on those points, most notably that really weird dispenser design. The fact that it's not really well optimized to make soft serve ice cream is my other big complaint about this machine, and that gets exacerbated by the fact that there's a whole lot of Slushie machines on the market that do a really good job with the soft serve, and they all cost a lot less money. However, if you don't already own a Slushie machine and you're really interested in that super high capacity that you can get from the Ninja Slushi MAX, then this just might be a viable option for you. If you'd like a little bit more information about this thing, I do have an Amazon affiliate link for it down in the description of the video. If you buy anything through those links, I do make a small commission, but it doesn't change the price that you pay, 1 cent. Hey, Joe's Phenomenal now has channel memberships. For most people, you can see a join button down below the video window that you can click and see what type of perks I'm offering. If you're using an iOS device, you might not be able to see it, and if that's the case, I do have a link down in the description of the video as well. If you like this video, then you might like this video right here where I did a full product review for the Green Pan Frost Slushie machine. That's got less capacity, but it does a lot of the same things, costs less money, and it's really good at ice cream too. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon, and until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.